second. Okay, man, how you doing? You all right?
I can't complain.
Can't
I can't
complain.
complain. Yeah, man, it's all good, all good. Like, trying to be positive, trying to keep, try to keep your head busy with things,
Yeah,
because there's too much going on, man. It's rather overwhelming to say the least. Just a
yeah,
whole lot, right?
yeah. It's hard, man. I think it's weird because it seemed to come from nowhere. Well, it kind of, we heard about it in January, February, but then the realization that everything was going to have to stop just like completely blew me away. And then I was in a little bit of denial, and then I did my last tattoo on a Sunday, and then it hit me. I was like, I can't keep doing this. I can't actually keep working with people when the infection's spreading, etc., etc. So when with you, like, when did you realize that you were gonna have to like stop?
Well, to be honest, I've been told by the management of the building where we have the shop. So to be honest with you, man, I just stopped because I've been told to do so. But I don't know, like it was so quick, and it was so much info, and it was so much like I don't know, like so many sources of news that you have to filter, you have to digest them, and then create your own thoughts.
Yeah.
So it took me a while to realize that, okay, this is a big deal or not. And to be fair with you, man, to be completely transparent, I don't really know what to think right now.
Yeah.
Because the more I watch things, I watch like the mainstream media, and then I watch podcasts and conspiracy theories and independent journals and blogs and whatnot, and then they give me like different sources of info.
Yeah,
So
independent scientists as well. I think that's the thing about this is like you listen to the mainstream media, and the mainstream media and the government are going by their scientists, but then there are numerous scientists out there that are well equipped to analyze the data of everything that's happening. So it's weird, isn't it? Like we have to listen to our government scientists, but then also you watch videos.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah, and not only that, I think that from a general public, they also expect somewhat like a position from you.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to be like a neutral. Like it seems like you're not allowed to be neutral. For example, myself, I'm saying like it could be like a real thing. It could be all made up. It could be a big conspiracy. I have the right to think that. I have the right to have my question marks in my head. But it seems like, so you're a conspiracy theorist. You believe in those things, and then this and that. You doubt everything. You're not believing. Or there's another hand to say, you believe everything the media says. So like, I rather don't pick up any flag. Like choose no sides.
Yeah.
And then it seems like sometimes you're not allowed to do it. I was watching like a friend of mine the other day. He's also friends with you, Glenn, right? Yeah. Glenn, he was like, he put a post on Instagram saying like, this is all a scam.
Yeah.
And then people smashed him on the comment saying like, so explain me this, explain me that. And I felt a bit sorry for him. He was just trying to express what he thinks, And then people was like, "Oh, wow, you talking no sense and this and that." People quite like mean to him on the comments. And then I was thinking like, man, the guy just expressed himself, saying like he don't really know what to believe. He got the right to doubt it.
Yeah, I think everybody's got the right to question anything that ever happens. We've got free speech. We've got the free speech, which unfortunately has been taken away. There was a podcast by a guy called Brian Rose. He's got a company called London Real, and he did a podcast.
I'm a big fan.
Yeah, he's a really good guy, and he did a podcast with David Icke, which was live streamed. They had massive numbers, and then he was due to put a video up on YouTube, which was going to get incredible numbers. I think he was projecting that it was going to be one of the most highly watched videos on YouTube, up there with Elon Musk, who was on Joe Rogan's podcast. And then
Yeah.
YouTube pulled it, you know, and
Yeah.
it gets sort of, and then he got banned off another website. They've subsequently turned back around and said, listen, okay, we're gonna put you back on again. But I think what they're trying, I don't know what the goal of it is. Thing is, Joao, it's I don't really know either. You know, all I know, and I think people get more hurt by it and will snap at people who will vocalize their freedom of speech like Glenn, because I think that we're all a bit highly strung at the moment. Everything's been taken away from us, you know, our freedom, so to speak. You know, we can't interact with family members like we used to be able to. We can't go and meet people at bars and drink. We can't, fuck man, we can't tattoo. You know, like I
Yeah.
think as I go as far as to say with you, as with any tattoo artist that chooses to listen to this, like I live and breathe it every single day, being able to go in and test myself and work with people. But then not only that, socialize with people. They're sat like here and we're talking to, you know, I've been with you a few times. You have so many different clients, and the rapport that you'll have with people is something that keeps you going every single day. And that's just being completely taken off you, and you've got to deal with it. I think that's why a lot of people are highly strung. When someone questions them, like Glenn, and Glenn's such a top guy, you know, such a really good person, a great artist.
Yeah.
You know, they're going to be like, nah, man. But then, you know, they've got it. I think if I see something that I don't agree with, I've kind of learned to just go, okay, and not give any kind of action back, because it's just wasted energy, you know. Like if I don't believe what somebody's saying, then what's the point in even going into it? You can't, you know, it's hard to win a discussion when somebody feels so strongly about it.
Yeah,
You know?
and totally, and again, I'm not inside there. I'm not inside the hospital. I'm not seeing like the transit of patients and then fatalities and whatnot. So I'm not there, man. My only source of information is the media. Is when I open my browsers and then I see the news, and that's all I have. I'm not there. I'm not. Again, I'm not being hardline skeptical or anything. I'm open to anything, any argument, but I'm just have I defend my right and everyone's right to doubt. You know, it doesn't pick up a side. Like when you talk about like all those things, you know, like let's go dip here, like global warming and flat Earth and whatnot. I mean, who knows, man? I don't know. I've never been there up there in the space, man. I've never been there, so I don't know if it's round, flat, or a shape of a piece, or what exactly is out there. So I'm just saying, like, I don't really know what's going on. It could be a conspiracy. It could be all real.
Yeah, people.
We could literally like threatened by the apocalypse or something. So who knows?
Yeah. People, we don't really know, and I think what you're trying to say there is it's not only freedom of speech, but we're all allowed to think what we want to think. You know, like with anything, you know, like if you see a piece of art, one person can think it's a piece of trash, and the other person can think it's the nicest thing they've ever seen. I always think this when people walk past and they've got the most hideous tattoo, but they can show it off as if it's the nicest thing they've ever seen, as if they would go into the Sistine Chapel and look up and that was all over it, they'd look up and think, yeah, look at how smart that is, when you don't really realize that people see things objectively. They'll see what they want to see, and you things what you see what you want to see. So yeah, I don't really know what to say with it all, man. All I know is that I'm just trying to keep myself busy. I'm trying to keep my fingers working, you know, like because this is the longest. I don't know about you, Joao, like this is the longest. How long have you been tattooing?
I've been tattooing for almost 15 years now.
Yeah, so is this the longest time you've gone without working?
Yeah, from all those long 15 years, it's the longest period, man. I don't really know what to do. It's like quite unusual, one thing is for sure, you have to keep as far as you feed, you an athlete yourself, so you know better than me, like as much as you want to take control of the intakes of proteins and food and supplements, everything you have to our own body, have to be cautious also to things that we put inside our mind. So in times like that, it's good to exercise that, right?
Yes.
Like get get a schedule, like wake up a certain time and then do your home exercise. And if you're allowed to go to the park, go to the park. If you have your instrument to play an hour of your instrument or 2 hours, and then lean on your drawing desk for another 5 hours, and then cook and have a little bit of a schedule. That's the only thing I'll recommend to people. Try to fit some activities on your daily schedule. And
yeah, because I think there's a risk of I know myself, if I didn't have a schedule, my schedule of constantly moving, keeping fit, keep making sure I'm eating all the right foods, not letting any of that slide, I would struggle so much. Like my mental health would struggle so much. And I'm such a super positive person. And I think even if I didn't tick all the boxes of like, right, okay, I'm going to create some art. I'm going to lift. I'm going to get a run in, and all these things. I would start to lose my mind slowly, because it's been like 5 weeks, 6 weeks, 5 weeks. It all starts to mold into one. But I think you're right. A schedule. I've started writing a list at the start of the day. So with my morning coffee, I will write a list, and that list will send to me if, like, through the middle of the day, I'm like, oh, this is just bullshit. I can't deal with this. I look at the list and I'm like, okay, I still need to do some deadlifts. All right, I'm going to do these deadlifts, and then I'm going to do some rack pulls, and then I can get on with something else. So every single day that gives me a purpose to keep moving and stuff. I think it's important.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I think like we said, it's like the mental health. Like if you think of a mental health, those little things, if you think like the little things like your amino acids, your protein, your BCAA, and then all those things part of all your mind needs, to keep sane and keep on like planning things and creating new projects and whatnot. So the main thing is like really take care of your mind times like that. Yeah.
And just wait and see.
Wait and see.
How long do you think, man? This is one of the questions I was going to ask right at the end, but we'll just talk about it now. Like, I've spoke to a few people about this, and everything changes. What date are we on now? We're on the 22nd of April. How long do you think until small shops where hypothetically we can deal with one person at a time, how long do you think until we're going to be allowed to work?
Well, again, like all thoughts I have is all, at the end of the day, like it's all like speculations, right? Like I don't really know what could be totally different, but I think like we are the very last on the list, man, I must say, because to be honest, I love tattooing with all my heart, but it's the least necessary thing.
Yeah.
Nobody really needs it. Like who needs that?
No.
Nobody needs it. So I believe it's a very last thing, that's for sure. And but I want to believe that we somewhat will be classified in a criteria or in a group that don't really gather too much people. So that could be a bit of something on the outside. Like, okay, those guys are so not necessary, but they don't really gather a lot of people because most of them have like private shops or separate rooms or a room that only fits like 3 or 4 artists. So I don't know, I'm just come up with something now, but we could like kind of like fit on that little gap of criteria of small business or something. That's my hope.
I think so. Listen, man, Denmark. So these are one of these. I saw this the other day, and it was like, oh shit. Denmark have started opening small shops, and have also obviously opening nurseries and schools. But this along the small shops that they've been opening, because I think as soon as you open hairdressers, as soon as you open nail salons, we have to be involved in that. Like we are exactly the same. It's an unnecessary thing. It's non-essential. You don't have to get your hair cut. You don't have to do your nails, and you don't have to get a tattoo. But it's a luxury. So as soon as they open small shops like that, then it's our turn. But what I think will happen is everything's changed. So I think that I can just imagine it. See, I always used to think it was weird when people wore masks when they worked, when they wore, but I think masks are going to become that essential that I was thinking this the other day, that essential that if you don't wear a mask, people will frown upon you. I think it's going to get to that point, and I could never imagine myself wearing a mask.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's very unusual for the Western world. Like if you go like to Asia, for example, Japan is very usual. Even Asian people that you see like studying here, like in England or in America, in the West, you see like whenever they have like an allergy or a flu or something,
Yeah.
they like automatically make use of their mask, right? If you go like to Japan, for example, you see like people wearing masks all the time. So it's part of it's a habit for them, you know. Like whilst here, if you have the flu, or you having a cold, you just feel miserable, and then you walk like miserably on the street, and then don't really care if you share like a public space, like a train or a bus, and you sneeze it all over people, and then spread your virus. My
Like,
God,
man,
why is that? Why is that? Is a bit of a habit. Oh, I'm not feeling well, so I'm going to wear a mask. So that maybe that's why the outbreak wasn't so big out there. Maybe I don't know. It could be.
maybe. This is the thing as well, though. Like London, you know, I've been there so many times, and you live down there, so it's like, you know, the underground. When you start getting right into a busy point, the underground is just intense. You know,
Yeah.
you stood literally like people are right here. You know, so you're not going to get any freedom in a sense of people
Yeah.
not spreading their germs. That's why I just think to a certain
And then,
degree it's going to
exactly,
change.
and then how this plan is going to work? Like social distance in a city like London, how that's going to work? Like there's hundreds of people per carriage in a normal train, an average train in London town. So how do you like? Okay, you only allowed like 20 people per carriage instead of 100. So you're gonna have a long queue, and people are gonna get late to work. Or maybe all the essential workers are going to be a lot. I don't know. I'm so confused. I don't know how the guys are going to work out.
Do you think it's an option? Right. Okay. I was thinking this the other day. Do you think it's an option to just, because there's going to be a second wave of this flu.
So they say.
Yeah, there's got to come a point where, like, economically, you know, for all the businesses in all the world, we've got to just be like, right, okay, we've tried our hardest to quell this flu. Is there a chance that they're just going to be like, right, listen, try your hardest to stay clean, wash your hands, social distance, wear masks, but just go for it. You know what I mean? Because it can't go on. When I first stopped working, in my head I was thinking, is this going to be 6 months? Because the person who I leased my shop off, I struck a deal with him. I just paid him 6 month rent, and I just said, listen, because I said, look, I want to pay you up like half a year, and he gave me a discount on it. So I was like, right, so that's up till September. So I hope and pray, please, that by September I will be working again, and I just hope that that's going to be the case. But I don't know, like you say, places like London, Manchester. I think London more because of the underground, but Manchester and places like
Birmingham.
Yeah, Birmingham, places I just don't know. And then you've got America. Like, one of the things I wanted to talk to you about, like, you were spending. Were you spending? You would have only been spending 3 months in LA, wasn't you?
I was actually living there. I lived in LA for 2 years.
Oh wow!
And yeah, and I wasn't. But whilst I was living there, I was still flying back to the UK to finish some large pieces and ongoing customers and ongoing projects. And then I had the chance to get this unit in King's Cross, and then I was thinking like, oh, this could be a good chance, a good call. Like the unit was at the coal drops yard.
Yeah.
It's an upcoming site now.
It's beautiful as well. It reminds me of the Tobacco Dock, you know, like
yeah.
Reminds
It's
me of
gorgeous up there. It's gorgeous the whole area. So that's why I decided, okay, maybe we'll compromise right now. My visa is still running to the US, so it's not really a problem. And I was thinking, okay, maybe it's time to pull a trigger now. So yeah, and then it was a great experience. It's been a great experience so far. And then the shop's been opened for over a year now, maybe a year and 5 months now. It's quite new. And I'm still going back every 2 months. So basically, I just flipped what I used to do. I used to live in America and come now and then back to the UK. Now I'm back to live in the UK and always flying back to to
Right.
Los Angeles, which is my favorite spot in the whole America. Yeah, the West
Yeah, I need
Coast.
to go to
Can't beat that.
Los Angeles. It just looks absolutely incredible. And I
Let's
think,
go. Let's go together, man.
yeah, man.
It's gonna be
Yeah,
mind blowing, man. You're gonna love it.
yeah, definitely. The thing about that place, man, is I find like a lot of the things that influence me as a person, or have influenced me as a person over the years, have come out of that one single area of the planet. It's really weird.
Yeah,
So many, and there's so many inspirational people that have come out of that area. So I can just imagine it
yeah.
being a really nice place to visit.
Yeah, yeah, especially like for people that's very not solely tattooed inspired.
Yeah,
For example, like I'm sure that we share the same taste for music
yeah,
and everything. And in my case, I don't know if you also agree with me. Like comic books and whatnot was a big influence on my upbringing when I was a child back
for
in Brazil.
sure.
So like all those things, like the comic books culture, the music culture, and then tattooing and whatnot. So yeah, it's very attractive for the whole world. That's for sure, no doubt about it.
Yeah,
They have a
man.
bigger heritage when it comes to people can't claim that in America there's not much heritage for like art and culture heritage. The Europe is far beyond more like
With
richer
with history and stuff,
yeah, with
yeah,
history and culture and art and whatnot. But I disagree in a certain point
yeah.
because I think like America has its values when it comes to that. That's for sure.
100%. Like I say,
Yeah,
the people, the humans that have come out of there speak for themselves. So it's like one of the things where, like I think you're right within saying that. I think everywhere's got something special. Like everywhere's got like gems, and everywhere's got like not too nice places and things like
for
that. But
sure.
I think everywhere has got that kind of thing. Like I remember, I think it was I was thinking about this the other day because I know you've got your own studio now, but I think correct me if I'm wrong. The first studio you guys, because I think it was you and Cesar and Rodrigo. You
Close.
had self-sacrifice, but was it where the first place? Was it just off Oxford Street?
Oxford Street, indeed. That was the first shop. I think it was I guess it was my first year in the UK, and that was the first. No, actually, it was the second shop which I worked at. So when I
Right.
met the boys, and then we clinged, and we make like a good bounce, and then we start working together, and then we're still friends. Like it's
Yeah.
crazy, like how long it lasts. Like every other week we still calling Rodrigo and Caesar, and then we're still like very very close, in a way. But
Yeah,
yeah, that
man.
was the first shop. Yeah, back in the days. That was what, like 12 years ago,
Yeah,
10
man.
years.
It's crazy. It
And
scares me. It goes so fast. I think it was like, was it 2008? I can't remember. 2007, 2008, I think it was. Was it? I can't remember.
yeah, 2008, and it's crazy, like because when you look back, it doesn't really feel that long. Like
No.
okay, 10 years. But then if you think like, okay, if a newborn baby was spotted on at that time, right now he would be like speaking, studying, running, and then
Yeah.
doing things, and like, oh my god, a life could be created like in
Yeah.
that gap of time. And then what have I done? Did I do anything valuable? And did I do anything interesting? Did I make good use of the time that was given to me?
I
That's
know.
something that I go crazy sometimes. Okay, I got those 10 years. If it was someone else, any other soul, like a little child, they would be grown, would learn language, would learn like manners and whatnot. And what have I done? Have I done anything good? So you always have this thing like trying to charge you, like, okay, am I doing good use of the time, that life that's been given to me? I don't know. I'm just going crazy now.
That's a really good way
But
to
yeah,
think about it. I've never even thought of it like that. I've never even thought like it. So say, like you said, within the first 12 years of a human's life, the culminative years of a human's life, they learn so much. And then after
yeah,
you've done all that, then you just, you leave school or you leave education, or if you enter your 20s, what have you done up to your 30s? And I think exactly like what you were saying, though. I can't, it ekes at me if I can't say, right, okay, in the past 5 years, what have I done you know,
Yeah.
or what have I achieved in the past 5 years and what do I want to achieve in the next 5 years? I think if you're looking at life like that, then you're going to get a lot from it. It's easy though to put so much pressure on yourself. You know, I think
Yeah.
you'll know yourself. Yeah, I think just the other day, Tamara sent you some of your old artwork,
Yeah.
and I've got it. I was going to try and get it, but I've got that from years and years ago, the flash sheets that you did. So you will look at that, you will look at that, and now be like, you know, and you can look back at that and think, oh no, if I look at like my, you know, you've got several published books with your artwork, you know, world renowned for the things that you put together and stuff. You can look back at like, I have progressed, you know, and I think that's a
Yeah.
good thing. I think you can, now we have the everything's documented. You know, we've got Instagram, Facebook, and all this kind of stuff, and you can see your progression, especially with tattoos as well, because you know, like you can look at something you did. I think sometimes nowadays you can look at something you did 5 years ago and be like, I just wouldn't do that now. You know, I just wouldn't do it like that now.
Yeah, totally. I think like you truly have to have somewhat like a pressure on yourself. But again, they have we got to be careful to put somewhat like a healthy pressure on yourself. Otherwise, it can turn to anxiety.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, oh my God, I have like a year and I have so much to do. And then you end up so like overwhelmed and then you don't really do anything in the end. So you got to be really careful. There's a thin line. And, but what I think is really important to like not comparing yourself to other, definitely not. Like like what I use now for the example was a newborn baby, you know, to compare like the years we know each other and all. But what I'm trying to say is like you really have to have this pressure because you really have to become a better person, not for your ego, not for your vanity or anything, but because I think like if you keep track of how you progress, increase in a lifetime, is also brings benefit to the society, to your whole environment. So it's thinking of the of the group, of the all as a part to yourself, to the one, to the individual. You see, I mean, because if you become a better artist, if you become like a better person, a better musician, you also is going to benefit like people around you. So it's not like the unit, is the all. I think I'm going like a too hippie now.
No.
But I think like okay, like what was the analysis I make from 10 years ago, and am I becoming like a better artist? Yeah, I have to become a better artist, because if I become a better artist, I got to influence people around me. So the whole community, the whole tattoo community, is gonna be better. So you're gonna raise the bar, raise the level of artists, and everyone's gonna get higher skills and whatnot. So it's up to me to become a better person, to the entire lot, also like thrive and
Yeah, definitely. You know, like you know, like there's like there's genres of tattoos, or there's like subject matters that people can progress in and kind of deviate to, you know, and once you find a path and you're on that path, then you're going to have people that follow you to, and they will constantly look back at you for inspiration. And I think it then becomes part of you to get, like you say, get better, and it will pull them up as well. I think because you're showing that the only way to progress is to keep, man, as an artist, and you will agree because you inspire me, like you have to keep drawing. You have to keep drawing, because the only way to get better, there's no like, you can't just paint and you'll become a better drawer. You can't just, I think drawing is the key to a lot of things for myself.
Yeah, absolutely. I would not remember because I'm really hot with names, but I was watching like a documentary like a while ago about this Olympic runner guy. So he was until before him, like no one had reached like okay, I'm gonna come up, we're gonna make up some numbers here. Like I think it was 100 meters or something. Nobody have until that time done like 100 meters in that short time frame, which was like, I don't know, a minute or something. I'm just going crazy with the money.
Oh,
So I could
bear
be
with me.
completely
Bear
wrong.
with me. I think I know what you're talking about. It's Roger Bannister did the like 5 minute mile or something like that. Yeah. And until that point, yeah.
Yeah, and then soon he did it. Everyone started doing that. The next contest, the guy broke the record again, and then so forth. And then people start going from there onwards. So that's what I'm trying to say. So this guy, obviously, he got the title of the guy that he became a legend, but moreover, he did big benefit for the entire community. So he truly raised the bar. And to add to it, I was watching like a Philip Liu interview, can't really remember if it was actually on YouTube or was a magazine. But he was saying like at the time, nobody was even considering doing like those crazy like Cadillac big Macs. People think like that was nuts. So he was like, okay, let's try. I want to show people that it's possible.
Yeah.
So he was saying like people would look at him like raising eyebrows. Whoa, would that work? Is that gonna stay and whatnot? And then he was crafting all those big mags, 19 mags and 25 mags. And they started to use it, and people were like, oh, there you go, it's possible. And then you just look around now, like everyone going for those big mags that before him would not even be considered. People were using 9 mags or maybe 11 mags or something for shading, and then he came up with those 50, 90. So what was the legacy from it? Everyone got benefit from it. So that's why it's our duty to always push ourselves, not for our own pride or anything or ego or nothing like that, but for the entire lot. So I want to be the best tattoo artist because I want to, all the community, to be known as those top level artists, not just tattoo artists, but actually proper artists.
Yeah.
It's my duty, even though I'm never going to reach that goal. I think it's good to keep in mind, always having this pressure, this duty. You have a mission here. So you have a mission. You have something to do here, not just like a accident of birth or something. You're here for a reason. So make good use of it.
Yeah, man. If you aim to get to the top of the mountain and you aim to get to the top, even if you don't get to the top, you're gonna get fucking high, So I think like you said, I think that's a really, really super good point. I think it's really important what you just said. For people to hear that and understand that that's the case. You have to aim to be the best. I think if anything, you choose to do anything, if you're going to be a joiner, an athlete, anything, if you choose that one thing that you want to be really good at, you should always try and each and every single day to progress, to become better at it. Because you're only here for a short period of time. You don't know how long you've got. We're living on borrowed time, and I think you've got to aim to try and to leave something behind. It's weird because you think about it. I always thought that when I was a kid, I was like, I want to, I had this thing inside me where I wanted to leave something behind. I didn't want to just be no one. It sounds really egotistical. I don't mean it like that. I mean, I just didn't want to be no one, I wanted to do something. At first I did performing arts, and then I started learning music, playing bass, and then I started drawing. And then before you know it, after a certain period of time, I became a tattoo artist. And as soon as the train onto that track, you're like, okay, this is it, this is it. And then when it's a job, you do it every day. So you're flexing that muscle every single day. So that muscle is going to get bigger, and you're going to become a better artist, if we're going to be talking about tattoo artists. So yourself, man, the first, I'm so glad I get to put this on a recording, man, because the first time I ever saw you was a Liverpool tattoo convention, and I remember at that point I was walking around, and one of the first things that hit me, it was the second thing that hit me was your artwork. I kind of was like, and I looked down and I was like, oh shit, man, this guy does things that I love. The first thing I saw at that point, you just started your back piece. Philip Liu had just outlined your back piece, so you were there with your top off, you were working away. And I was just like, oh my God, look at that. That's beautiful. Look at how well that's done. Your back. I'm like, wow, that's so cool. And then I waited for you to finish, and I asked you who'd done your back, and you said Philip Liu. So Philip Liu, and you've already mentioned him. Would you say? I mean, obviously, he will always be an influence on you. Was he the first person for you that was like, shit, man, that guy, that is the guy?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, absolutely. Can't deny it, because I remember back in Brazil. Well, again, we're talking about a time like there was for young people out there, they wouldn't know what we're talking about. A world without internet, a world without social media. There was kids. There was once upon a time a world without all that. So basically, I was back in Brazil, and then I remember I didn't really have like I really I would say I'm not gonna say the word like, but I say I didn't understand much of Japanese artwork and composition and whatnot. I just didn't understand.
Yeah.
So that's why I was more driven, because my upbringing being too much into comic books, my appreciation went more towards like realism and tattooing. So I remember my early days, I was very much looking at Bob Terrell, Robert Hernandez, not who else? Yeah, it was a bunch of realism guys. They were like really like they used to like impress me a lot.
Yeah.
So then I remember I was back in Brazil. I was browsing, going through this international magazine. I can't really remember which one it was, but it was an international magazine, and going through it. And there was a friend of mine with me, and then he was like, "Oh, check out this magazine. There's a bunch of international artists. They're amazing, whatnot." And then I flipped through a page, and I saw a Philip Liu back piece, big, demonic, crazy ass dragon head on this guy, entire back and ass and whatnot.
Yeah.
And then I was like, what is that? I was impressed and shocked and captured by that.
Yeah.
But again, I didn't understand. So it's still on that stage, I couldn't understand shit about like a Japanese composition, whatnot. But still, like the graphic image was so catchy.
Yeah.
That I got blown away, and then I was like, "Who is that?" And he was, "Oh, there's Philip Liu and this and that, a guy from Twitter." And then I started to do my own research with little sources that we had back in the time, because back in time, like no tattoo artists had like websites and things like that, so there was no sources whatsoever.
Yeah.
Especially back in South America, but still, like slowly by surely, it was educating myself, knowing more about the Liu family, and then I found Mauricio Teodoro in São Paulo.
Yes.
Which also would come on definitely on the same rank of big influence on my artist life. And then it truly changed my life. Like that the single moment that I flipped the page of that magazine, my life would change forever.
Yeah,
for sure. And then I thought, okay, man, this is the thing. Like, so he truly opened my eyes to I have to say that. I think art plays different roles on people, on different people and whatnot. So it might sound like a little bit too much when I say change my life to people. So it might sound a little bit cheesy, but it really did. Like when I saw Philip Liu, he gave me new eyes or new lens, so I could like okay, now I see things like on the Matrix, you know, like now I see the whole lot, because I couldn't see what was right there in front of me. I couldn't understand. So he made me understand. Obviously, he didn't, because Philip, if you think of Philip Liu, he didn't really invent it.
No.
Anything new. He just revised, and so he put his signature, and then that alone was like remarkable for me. So I see things the way I see now because of him. I can't deny.
Yeah, for sure. Like I think like you're saying, he didn't invent it. I think what happens from what I can see is like there's like a traditional aspect of Japanese tattooing that's really old school, and then over a period of time, you know, like people become a little, either may draw something more detailed, they might color and shade something more in a different way, and then people push with that. I remember like you took hold of Philip's like inspiration and became your own version of an artist with like inspirations from him. So like that happened with Shijay. You know, Shijay would have done exactly the same. He was massively influenced by Philip Liu, yet the way he would render something would be more realistic. He would make Philip Liu's work look more realistic, and then from there you have people inspired from that. And then what happens, I think, as well, then people go backwards. So there'll be like new artists that come out that are like, oh, I like that, but I also want to make it more simple. You know, I always think it's great to see the evolution of how people move, because like anything in music as well, you know, you can see inspiration. You can listen to a band and you can be like, you're one of your biggest inspirations is this, and they're like, yeah, how did you know? And it's like, I can hear it in your music. And it's just the way with art, I can see it in your artwork. I think that's a massive thing, you know. Like do you have any current influences who are massive to you, like off the top of your head?
To be honest, I'm still trying. Like, I think my life as an artist, like art mission is like try to understand like the paths of Philip Liu and Mauricio Teodoro. Those guys, like they play a big role in my influence. So I'm still trying to, how those guys like see those things, how those guys they interpret that, how they would, what would be their spin on that. So I'm still trying to go inside the head, not trying to copy them or rip them off, but try, okay, I don't need to know the technique, I don't need to know the media, I don't need to know the brushes and whatnot. I just need to know how they see that, because that's the most mesmerizing thing for me. How they see a lotus, how they see like a storm, like a sea storm, with a big like a dragon, like imagine like a dragon rising from a big sea storm, and lightnings and thunders and dark clouds behind it. How they would like interpret it, how they see it. So my goal in life now is try to, as much as I can, I know I never will, but as much as I can to get close, how they would interpret that thing. But for me, this is the main goal now. How they would interpret like this back piece, what they would do with that, how they would continue the existing work from another artist and make this whole lot look like one, and respect what have been done before. And then I think I would say, like, more than anything, more than technique, more than drawings, more than tattoo skills and whatnot, I'll try to understand how they think, how they see those things. I don't know. I think like it's like you mentioned, like music, like what's like Dave Mustaine or Steve Harris. What those guys? What was the mood? What they actually think? What was the spark for them to create that riff and whatnot? So I think that goes deeper than the visual artwork. I don't know if you see what I mean. Yeah.
I hear you, man. I think there's like a, you know, I think I remember Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers. He would say, you know, he would talk about when they created music, they would seem to pull it from the ether or something, you know, or something like that. And that's always bewildered me. Everybody gets given the same things, you know. We all get given a pencil and a piece of paper, or a bass guitar, and a group of people to play with. It's always mind blowing what it takes to create something that becomes timeless, or to create something that becomes so inspirational. And it is something, it is like that. Everybody gets given the same tools. Everybody gets given the same thing to deal with. It's just each individual human. That's why I feel like when people talk about super sci-fi, but if robots were to tattoo, you know, you see like machines doing perfect. I think that's when you lose the organicness of an artist, and
the spirit,
the spirit, and the human aspect of like their vision and all their inspirations coming together to create one image or one piece of music that you're just like, every time you hear it, the hair stands up on your neck, and you're just like, oh, you know.
Yeah, I feel what you say. Like in terms of spirit and feeling and whatnot, because that's how subconsciously I developed the approach of free hunting and whatnot, because I realized that the more I try to predict and anticipate like a composition without seeing the real media, which is the human body, the
Yeah.
human canvas, that was like an immense hard time for me in terms of visualize like the composition, the theme inside something that's not really there in front of my
Yeah.
eyes, So that's why I was like, oh, would you mind? I was also kindly asking my customer, obviously, oh, would you trust me? And then come and let's create together on the spot, because the only way to really feel the design would be like to have you right there, because you are unique. You can reproduce yourself, like you can
Yeah.
reproduce everyone's unique. Everyone have a length for the limbs. People a little bit bigger, people taller, people have a different tones of skins and whatnot. So I really to see that, to come up with something unique. Would you allow me to do that? And then a few blessed to say they have the kindest customers in the world, because they fully trust me. And then that's how I start to approach skin that way. So many people think like, okay, you start that like from day one and whatnot. Now, actually, it took me years to understand myself that okay, this was the anticipation of composition and stencil and a whole preparation. I'm not again, please. I'm not saying that it's not important.
No, I get you.
That's
I get you.
useless. But it was actually like I was actually killing the gold of a prime like composition. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I was also feeling that it's a teamwork. Like it's more about like the trust that the customer gives you, plus the skin and plus your knowledge, whatever you exercise at home. Obviously, you
Yeah.
have to, in order for me to come and then freehand like a snake or dragon or skull on someone's back or arm or legs. Behind that, I had countless hours of exercise on my drawing desk or iPad or something. So that is just what people see is just the final result. What you don't see is like the countless hours that I spend drawing at home and whatnot. So I prepare myself to feel confident with the subject, which is either serpent or whatever subject it is, and then the final. It's like a band, like the
Yeah.
actual concert, the gig is there, and then obviously they're playing like amazing solos, amazing riffs, and tight musicians and whatnot, but they have like countless hours of studio recording, rehearsals and whatnot. So that's same with me. So the only way to deliver the way that I want it to look, it would be like on the stage, like in front of everyone, in front of audience, which is the customer,
Yeah.
And I don't know if I'm making myself like understandable here, but yeah, that's how like I kind of developed my own. So it was not really like nothing planned. It was a way of finding myself, discovering like how I work better, So I suppose that sort of pressure of not knowing how it's gonna be, it sparks a lot of creativity in me,
Yeah.
I suppose.
Yeah. I will go as far as to say, man, I think you have developed over a period of time, and it's been nice to see just the artistic flair. Like I always remember, and I see you do it a few times. You've probably picked it up from somewhere, I don't know, but you remind me of an artist that's just goes, like you would, there's many times when I see you doing it, and you've done it to me. You'll put the ink pot on someone, you'll Vaseline it to them, you're just working because you're trying to get what's in here onto the skin forever, amidst this rough sketch that you've made on the skin. And I think that's I think myself, when I see you do that, that shows just an immense amount of confidence. And I think anyone would be amiss to think that's just not come from nowhere. You know, you gain confidence. You have gained confidence from years and years of, like I said before, flexing that muscle. You know, learning, drawing countless peonies, chrysanthemums, roses, leaves, drawing countless dragons and snakes. You've been doing that so many times that it becomes really easy, you know, to a certain degree. And then it's like, right, okay, how can I make this sit and flow on the body? How can I make this work? What can I do to, you know, and then there's countless ways to test yourself. I think that you do it so well, and to see that you're one of the, I mean, there's so many different kinds of artists, but you're one of the probably only artists I see that makes a bare minimum sketch, and then by the end of it, it looks like something you already pre-drawn, stenciled on, and gone from there. You know, it's really cool, man.
Yeah. Thank you. And then also, I think you have to like a high skills and talent come together. It has to be balanced by also being humble, because if you see some people say like, okay, it's my way or the highway, like take or leave it, it's me, and this is, you know, this is how I do things. I think like you miss like something majestic if you approach things that way. What I'm trying to say, like, you really have to count with the customer as part of the whole show.
Yes.
So that's why like when people come to me, I feel glad and happy that I'm on the stage of my life now, that people that fully trust me. But again, that the blindfold, the trust can also be a bit of a poison to my creativity, to see. I mean, because one thing I invite and encourage people is to participate with me on the creation process, not or actually on the drawing, but and on the mood of the entire picture. So I always ask people, how do you imagine people ask me, oh, I want this snake, full sleeve and with waterfalls and whatnot. And my first question is like, oh, okay, how do you see the snake? Is it, oh no, do your thing, do your way. No, man, no, you spoiling everything. Don't do it. Let's do it together. How do you see it? Do you see like a demonic, very angry, very upset snake, or a little bit more wise and more calm? So I need that intake from people. I need to know, to see like how people see it. I know it sounds a bit like a hippie talk, but I'm far from it. But I'm saying like, okay, I need to see like how do you imagine it? Because people have perceptions of things. Like people not necessarily see like a skull as something like related to black magic or metal or something. People could see like an anatomical source of study or something. You know, like when you go to medical school or whatnot, they have skeletons and skulls all over.
Yeah, for sure.
So this could also be translated that way. So I ask people, how do you see it? Like, what's your mood? What's your vision? So I need that to be like the final screw on the engineer that's gonna make the whole things roll up.
Yeah.
But I really encourage, and I think people need to put the twist, I would call it that way, on the whole composition. So when I people ask me, I always say like, it's a teamwork.
Yeah,
it's a teamwork.
sure.
It's me and the customer. It's not me alone. I could never do things alone, myself and I, you know. So yeah, so it comes. I think I just feel sorry for people. Like I came again. I'm not judge them. I'm not judge people that are very strict with interference of others or third part of the creational process. I respect that, but I think that I don't know. In my opinion, what do I know? I could be wrong, but I think they're missing a lot. I think they could excel whatever they do. They even more like tenfold, or I don't know. They could excel and make like and improve a lot. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean. It's hard. I think it's. The thing is, it's such a saturated industry, but I think as long as you keep your head on your own path, just deal with your own thoughts and your own inspirations. That's all you can do. You know?
because some customers, they might feel intimidated because they think, oh, I have no art background, so what do I know? I'm not gonna opinate anything. I'm not gonna see anything because they feel shy, they feel embarrassed to say anything. But okay, you might not have like arty background, but you are human. You
Yeah.
feel things, you
Yeah.
see things, you feel. So you can, and you must help me with that. You must like participate in this whole lot, because you see things. You might not
Yeah.
understand things. You might not be able to draw a stick man to save your life, indeed. But you feel things, and we're all humans, and art is all about feeling, right, and perception. So,
Yeah, for sure,
and
man.
then, and then if you stretch that theme a little bit longer, I think like a while back you were talking about music and whatnot, and tattoo influences and whatnot, and I think that could also apply to music, when it comes to music influences.
Yeah.
For example, like I'm sure you're the same. Like I don't really like see music as a label. Like, okay, like this is obviously like I listen to heavy metal like a majority of of my time, but I also listen to things that have nothing to do with metal.
Yeah, for sure.
Again, nothing to do for some people, but for me they're, they're all linked. If you say
Yeah.
like uh like soul or blues and jazz and dub and reggae,
Yeah.
somehow they also link to other things, other things that I listen to, like extreme death metal and black metal and whatnot. People might not see the link whatsoever, but I do see it because it's all about feelings. Like I
Yeah.
think everything that when it comes down to art and expression, I think the base, the baseline and criteria would comes down to feelings and whatnot. So
Yeah.
people make fun of me when I'm suddenly turn off like a Dimmu Borgir or Satirical, and then turn on some Earth, Wind and Fire,
Yeah.
and then go crazy with some disco and soul and jazz and whatnot.
Yeah.
So
There's many times, man, which oh God, I'm so like this. There's been so many times where I see you have a way when you've created a piece of art on someone, or when you create a piece of art, it might be a song that you've heard that day, or it might just be the lyric that pops in your head. You'll always put a lyric with the piece of art that you've put up, and there's
yeah,
been so many times when it's a Celine Dion song, or it's something like
yeah,
that. I have such an open mind. Like I can like the dirtiest, horriblest music that people are like, "Is that what is that?" And then I can like pop. I can like
yeah,
something that's just because that's the thing with music. It's like art, and if
yeah.
I think when I was younger, I always used to. I always think I was too cool for school. I remember I remember even having a Limp Bizkit album, and I threw it. I remember I threw it in the bin because I felt like I was too cool to listen to that kind of stuff. You grow up and you look back at all the things that you used to listen to, and you're like, shit, that was good. Like
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
That was created by people, and it stands up now. And when you realize what it takes to write that, to create that, because you sit there yourself, you'll sit there, you've created an album, you'll sit there in a band, and you'll be like, what should this do next? And you realize that band that you look down on has done that, and look at where they're at. They've sat there in
yeah,
a studio and gone through everything to
yeah,
become inspired to write that music. So
yeah.
yeah, when did you start playing bass?
Well, I start to my relationship with music and bass guitar came way before tattooing
Right. Yeah. Same
and
here.
stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, when I was a teenager, I was like gathering with friends and then playing like a new wave of British heavy metal, like Judas Priest and Iron Maiden and all that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then yeah, that's when I started. And then obviously I was driven to music through metal.
Yeah.
But one thing that music, again, I'm talking like an outsider because I don't consider myself a musician. I just like to I'm an enthusiast. I like to mess around.
Yeah.
But one thing that what I gained from being involved with music was the way that they appreciate, like Filipino did to me with regarding Japanese art, like music, made me look things like in a different way as well.
Yeah,
Like for
definitely.
example, like I don't, because I think when you play music, when you evolve with it, like you don't need to be like a exquisite musician, whatnot.
Yeah.
But when you somehow involved with that, you don't see things as a style or a genre of sound of music, because you really see like the creation process of the band, and like the bass line, how the bass
Yeah, for sure.
communicate with the drums and the melody, and then
Yeah.
how things are built up and so forth. So it's really hard to class. For example, when I listen to the real thing, or Earth, Wind and Fire, it's really hard to distinguish. Okay, this is no metal. This is metal. I just pay attention to the instruments, like
Yeah, for sure.
to the melodies, to the phrases, and so forth. So everything becomes like one thing, like all the labels disappear, like soul, reggae, and whatnot. So and same comes with art, like my influences that not solely comes from the tattoo world, even though you cannot really see it out there. I have a big I found inspiration from comic books, and even like tattoo styles that nothing to do with Asian styles, like which
Yeah.
is the style I'm trying to express myself the most. Like I see like I get a lot of influence from tribal tattoo, believe me or not,
Yeah. No, no,
like
yeah, yeah.
geometric and things, because okay, it's not something that I would do or anything, but it's not all about things that you appreciate or that you would do, you associate yourself with. It's about the entire lot.
Yeah.
It's a visual impact. Okay, it might be like something like you would possibly do in a different way, but there's other ways to appreciate that. For example, if you see like someone with a tribal, like those spiky 80s tribals that was very popular back in the 80s and 90s,
Yeah.
you might not like them. You might not like them. You might, oh, this is so dated and whatnot. But man, when you see like someone like crossing the street with them, and you can read the entire law, and that is power. So
Yeah.
that piece out there is talking to you. So it must be appreciated. You
Yeah.
must be like, okay, man, this is a good thing. Not maybe not in execution way or on the arty way, but there is an impact. It's
Yeah.
talking to people. When you walk, when that person walking around with that tattoo, it talks to people because
Yeah.
there's a visual impact on it. So there's several ways to impact people, and I think art is about that, right? Like impact people and influence and communicate with people and whatnot. I remember when I was like 14 years old, I was far from my tattoo life path or whatever you call it. And I remember was I didn't know nothing about tattoo, and I was back in Amazon, and I remember was this metalhead lady. She was we were not friends or anything, but I've seen her around. Like we used to go to the same gigs and whatnot. And then I remember she had this barbed wire tattooed on her arm. You know, those classic
Yeah.
90s tattooed barbed wire shit, like with the green ink. It was
Yeah.
very like not well done.
Yeah.
No, and then and I remember, man, that is so wild.
Yeah.
I was so like shocked by that, because I think I couldn't understand. I couldn't distinguish if it was a good work or not, because I didn't know nothing about the two whatsoever. But I remember that being like very remarkable. Like the image is still in my head. So I think, okay, in a way, in terms of aesthetic, it was not a beautiful tattoo, but what is a good tattoo? What's the best tattoo? It's
Yeah.
about like the best world design or the best composition, or is the impact?
Yeah, exactly.
Who's the one to judge that? So
Exactly. For
yeah.
like we talked full circle there. We talked about it before. We touched upon it before, man. You know, art is subjective. You know, what speaks to you might not speak to me. What speaks to me might not speak to you. But then we might look at a piece of art together and be like, "Whoa!" You know, it's so weird. You know, it's so strange the way people see things. the way, I remember as a kid, I used to see some of these artists that you'd see in like the Tate Modern or something, and it was like somebody got a piece of a can of paint and just splashed it on a canvas, and I always used to just be like, what? But then but then but then other people would be like, yes, definitely. Here's £2 million. Can I have that in my house? You know what I mean? It always used to blow my mind. And then as you grow older and you're an artist yourself, you realize that it's because it's subjective. People see what they want to see. They see things that you don't see, which is why being a tattoo artist is so wild, because it's on someone forever. So the person needs to choose needs to choose the artist correctly. There's so many people that go about and don't choose the right artist. If they're looking for something, they don't choose the right artist. They'll just go to the closest person they know. I chose you, I travel to you. I've chosen other artists, I travel to them. You've done the same. You choose artists, you want that, so go and get that. Don't try and get it from someone who you've not seen create something like that.
Yeah,
that's not going to happen. I think it's such a, I think being a tattoo artist, and I hope I can do it until my hands don't become arthritic and don't work. But I hope I can do it forever. But I think it's such a privileged position to have.
Yeah,
For someone like you said, to come in and give you a full back and their bum and the backs of their legs and be like, okay, I'm gonna endure hours of pain, but I want you to give me something that you're going to be proud of and I'm going to be proud of. What an insane proposition, But
it's crazy, man.
Yeah,
when you think of it,
yeah, but it's been going on for years and years, and it will go on for years and years. And
you got to respect that, right?
Yeah.
That guy, that person with that such a massive, immense commitment, that gotta be your master, and you gotta be the servant.
Yeah.
You gotta be the one like to serve them, because he's above you. Because the amount of things that person been through, you've been through nothing, man. Like obviously you've been working, been studying, you've been practicing, whatnot. But again, it's what you got to do.
Yeah.
You've not been through much. It's just for you, it's just another ordinary day, another day in the office.
Yeah.
For that person is one of the biggest deal, one of the biggest commitment they're gonna, engage themselves with.
Yeah.
So you gotta respect them.
Big time. Like yes, you do. What an amazing thing to say. You have to respect them. You're saying you have to respect your clients. 110% you do. The moment you lose respect, it starts to crumble down around you, and your ego becomes bigger than it should do, and you lose control of it, and you don't become a good human anymore, and you're not on the right path. I think it's so important to have them faculties in order, with that. I think as well, like you said, and with us as well, the pain aspect of it as well adds just a different level. I'm not commissioning you to paint me a canvas that you're going to do in your own time. I'm asking you to put the piece of art on me forever. So and with that comes a rite of passage of pain, I think that's even more. You've got to respect him even more. I remember the first time I came down to you, I got soft. We all get a little bit less tougher as we get older. But I remember the first time I came to you, I think it was on Wardour Street. I can't remember, but I remember I came down. And even though I'm a tattoo artist at that point, I was nervous, but I knew I wanted it. And I remember just lying down, and we lined the whole sleeve. And then maybe we shaded the background the next session. When we shaded the background, I think we'd coming up to like 8 hours, 7 hours or something like that. And but I was shaking. And I think at that point you were like, okay, man, I think, I think that's a good time. And it's like, yeah, that is a good time, to stop. And it's like that rite of passage that you pay. You're rewarded, because I brought that piece of art back up with me, and you come amongst the people up here, the humans that live in my small town or around Manchester, and people see that, and that's what again, full circle, that's what brought Glenn to me. You know, I was working a convention, I think it was down in London, the Great British Tattoo Show, and he walked past me and he was like, "Hey mate, wow, like come over here, mate." I said, "Let's have a look at it, mate." You know, and he was blown away by the waves. So he was, I think that's something I look to. I think every artist looks at something like, I remember Marcus Lenhard talked about that. If you want to be good at drawing anything, learn how to draw Japanese waves. You know, like make them flow and fit on a body or on a piece of paper, and then you've cracked it, because you know, to a certain degree anyway. But I think that's what brought Glenn to me, and that's what happened with me as well. Like I remember seeing one of a guy I know called William Jones. I was working and I looked up. I was working away, and I looked up, and as I looked up, I was like, whoa. And I looked over and he was walking past with a sleeve from this guy called Marcus Lenhard. He's a bio artist. Lux Altera he's called. And I walked over and I was just like, dude, just give me a second. And I told my client, just give me a second. I walked over and I just had to marvel at this piece of art, that this person, because I knew who it was that had done it. And I think, like you said, when you see something from far away, and you just know that reads perfectly. It's the right composition. The contrast is great. It's golden, isn't it? It's so good to see.
Yeah, totally. And then like you said, like among so many high-skilled 5-star artists in the world, people come to me and go through pain and then pay money. I'm like, man, I feel like the luckiest guy on earth, man. Like, if you see around, like see those guys, man. Like, Philip, Mauricio, Chris O'Donnell, Grime, and the list goes on, and then those people pick me. Say, fuck, man. Yeah. So blessed. I'm so blessed. I remember, like, back in the days, 3 years ago or something, I was working in a shop, in a private shop, and I was doing like daily large scale pieces. So like all people around that we were sharing this same room. Most of the people were doing like small pieces and whatnot, like 3 tattoos a day, 5 tattoos a day. And then I remember there was this particular day, and then I finished like I can't remember if it was a back piece, a chest piece, a side or something. I finished a bit earlier, and I had like a small kind of walking customer. She just emailed me last minute and said, "Oh, I want to do something small because you tattooed my friend and whatnot." And I think she asked for a script or star or something on the wrist, or something very tiny, nothing to do with things I was doing. And I remember this lad, the young lad, young tattooist, he came to me and said like, "Oh man, you just finished that one. What you got next now? You got another back piece or something?" I say, "No, actually, man, I'm gonna do something like a small. I'm gonna do a small script on this the young lady's wrist or something." And then I'll never forget. That's why I'm not gonna mention any name, because I hope he regrets what he said now. But what he said, "Oh, so you gotta do a shitty one," and I was like, "No, man, there's no such a thing as a shitty tattoo. Like just because it's not like a dragon back piece, it's not shitty, man. Like for you, it might be shitty, but you must respect your customer, because for that person, imagine the thing that she's been through to come through, to leave her home, to go to the cash point, draw some money, walk to the tattoo shop, and get to do is a big deal. So you must respect them. For you, it might be a shitty but for that person, that customer is an overwhelming event, you know, because she got friends, she got family, she's gonna walk around, she got displays, she's gonna show off proudly her small tattoo. So it is a big thing. Yeah. So that's why it should not be distinguished on styles of tattoos or something. I don't see things that way. Like every tattoo is important. When you leave your ego aside, put your ego aside, you see things differently. I think that like everything is important. I treat like a star a 5-point star on the back of the neck, as important as a snake full sleeve or something. I truly think that's my duty to the universe, to respect and see things that way. I will never forget one day. I went to get tattooed by the legend Alex Binney on the legendary
Okay.
Into You. Oh, sorry, man. I have
It's okay.
I have 10% battery on my iPad.
No worries. No, it's okay.
And then I went through. I booked an appointment. I went to get like just something to add to my collection on my leg, like a small tattoo. And then I went to the interview my first time, and I went. I already had my back piece by Philip, full sleeve, bunch of tattoos on my leg and whatnot. And then I remember waiting for him, and then what's a small tattoo? I think he did like in 1 hour or something. But I remember I was feeling like an immense anxiety, and I was quite nervous. I was like, man, I've been through like a lot, man. I've been through a lot, and then I felt like a countless hours of pain and whatnot. This is nothing. Why I'm so nervous and whatnot. So imagine that for us, it's still like a big deal. Imagine from someone that's not a collector or someone that's gonna have one-off. And then it is like a serious thing. So you must appreciate it and never take that for granted.
Yeah, I always remind myself that. I think I always say that to people as well. I think the person I've worked with as well, like there's times when you can take for granted just how much you know about tattooing, how many times you've been tattooed, how many scenarios you've seen over the years. I think it's you've got to be cognizant of the fact that is that person's one individual experience, and you've got to make it the best it can be. I always try and think of myself as well, try and think of it as you're only as good as the last tattoo you've done, like
Absolutely.
What was the last one you did? Oh, it was something I just chucked out. It was a name. It was just a chance to earn an extra little bit of something. No, if you get a name, then and you take a name on board and you say, okay, no worries, you book it in, or that you can do it on the day, because you've got a bit of spare time. You're just like, okay, I'm going to make this the best it can be, and I'm going to get my pencil out, and I'm going to try and make this look good. And you do it, give it as much as you can, because like you said, that one person is as important as you and as everyone else who you love and adore, and count as precious to you. It's hard to think that. I always think that's hard for people to see as well, in terms of numbers of like, say so many people have died from COVID-19, that say like 6,000 people. One of those people is just as important as you and me. One of them
Totally.
people, and I think that heralds back to what you were saying about that. I'm super conscious of the fact that your battery's going. Dude, honestly, I feel like we've chatted loads about some really, really cool stuff. And I was excited to get you on, because I knew that I just know you, and I knew that you would have tons of stuff to say that people are going to love.
With my rather thick South American accent.
Yeah, but honestly, because you spent so much time down in London, you've definitely you've got it's changed a slight of it, but it's good, man.
Yeah, it swings a little bit. I think throughout the day my accent goes through like a little bit of a East Londoner, and then goes back to South American, and I don't know, it's a bit of a mix, a bit of a mess. Even when I'm trying to talk Portuguese nowadays, a little bit, sometimes I struggle. Sometimes it takes a while to come back to me, like, oh my God, what's that word in Portuguese? Oh my days, I can't remember that. So it really happened to me. And sometimes when I'm talking to my mom back home, I struggle a little bit. Like, it's funny. Some words I still like need to pull out from back of my memory. But yeah, man, I think we should do like a part 2, man, of this podcast.
Definitely.
It was a lot of fun, man. Yeah,
definitely. 100%. I have tons more stuff I want to talk to you about.
We need to talk more like about music influence and whatnot, and then travelings and so on.
Yeah, definitely. I'm in a really different position because of the lockdown. I have my son full time, so there's been times, and he's right in front of me now. There's been times where Felix has been running around everywhere. So I honestly, Joao, thank you so much. I respect you so much, and I look forward to doing this for a second time.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Let's try to arrange something for like, I don't know, like 2 weeks from now, something like that. with more updates, with news and whatnot. I'm sure we're gonna have like more subjects to talk about and to go through.
Yeah, man. All right, dude. Take care of yourself, man.
Brother, thank you very much, man. Hope to see you soon.
Yeah, you too, man. Peace.
Peace. Bye.
Bye.